What's good, baby? It's your boy Dale. I'm back in the saddle again. Our motto is to buy, build. We already bought it already, so we already own it, free and clear. Refinance to long-term debt, cash flow. That is the motto. Cliff, man, is that a pretty strong motto, man? What do you think?
Man, the model is strong. Like, you're getting each piece of the invest, right?
What it do, baby? It's your partners, man, looking always, I'm going to say it with my chest, better than you. It's okay. Talk to Jesus about that thing. It's not our problem. That's your problem. But, man, Cliff, man, what's up, baby? How you doing, baby? How was week, man? Talk to people, man. What's going on?
Man, it's a good week. It's busy. You know what I mean? Busy. So it's always good, man. Been busy a lot, man. Doing some things. So working on things. Actually, got a couple of deals from you. Been working on trying to find some contractors in a couple different areas, Dale. So you wanted something, man. How was
Yeah.
your week?
Yeah. Man, it was good, man. Really busy, man. Kind of expanding the territory a little bit, Cliff. You know, talking about some more opportunities coming in. We told y'all that correction was coming, and them
Oh,
deals is flowing in like clockwork, man. So we are loving this thing right now, man. Cliff, has it been? Let's kind of give people a kind of little peek into what's going on in the market real fast, man. As we dive into the current market analysis real fast, we'll dive into this thing. Cliff, man, if you could, man, from a boots on the grounds perspective, just tell everybody, man, what's going on in the market from an appraiser standpoint. What's going on?
so this week they raised interest rates again,
Yeah.
about 75 basis points.
Mhm.
Uh, and from what I'm seeing, um, I think they're going to continue to raise them until they get inflation under control. I think they're serious about that, which means today's interest rates might be a good deal, depending how high they raise them. Because I wouldn't be surprised if they raise it another 2% from where we are now to try to curb the inflation. Um, and I think more people are starting to recognize that because it's picking up a little bit. Uh, but we're still in a slowdown. So it's I think right now the Fed's gonna crush the market. I think they're gonna completely try to drain out any excess money in the system. And like I said, today's interest rates might be good compared to what they're gonna be.
Well, how can the Fed begin to drain that type of, because there's a lot of excess cash in the system, a lot of manufactured cash flow in the system. How can they begin to curtail that?
By raising, really what they're doing is they're trying to slow the market so
Mhm.
slow that people are not purchasing nearly as much. So when they do, it looks as if inflation is low because there's just no money being spent. All the money's on the sidelines. You see the stock market every day. It's falling. I'm seeing housing prices. I mean, I'm seeing $400,000 houses knocked off 40,000 so far. So about 10% in Dallas,
Mm.
which we in a strong market. I'm seeing that already. And that's what I saw over the last, couple several weeks, and now they're raising it higher. So, the average buyer could own a $400,000 house 6 months ago. That
Mm.
was around their range, 400, maybe up to 500 tops. That was the average buyer in that range. With them raising interest rates and the payment staying the same, that could easily drop to 300 to 400. We could lose $100,000 in equity
Mm.
because of the interest rates, and it just comes down to the buyer and what they can afford. And the problem is, people have their income has not caught up with the inflation, so they can't afford the prices they could before with the high interest rates.
Wow. Wow. I hope you guys caught what he was talking about. Is you're talking about the raising of rates, which is the cost of capital has gone up. He's predicting another new 2 points going up. Right now, Cliff, with the additional 75 basis points, what's the par rate right now?
It's for like a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Last time I checked, man, I've seen it range. I thought I saw it drop a little bit, but I've seen this high going from 6 to 7%. That's
So we're talking about 7% is the par rate. That means that's the rate for everybody. And I want you guys to begin to look at how the market is responding. if you still see the inflation rate still going up, these raising of the basis points are not doing anything at all. I believe that they have to
Mm.
get more aggressive on there. This is why I kind of agree with Cliff on the 2 additional basis points. I think it should be. I think it should be at least 3 or 4 because there's
Yeah,
so much cash, so much
yeah,
manufactured cash flow in the system. They have to burn it out. I think I was watching a interview with Patrick David and the former CEO of Washington Mutual. The CEO of Washington Mutual actually said that this time is a bigger bubble than 2008 was. This is the CEO of Washington Mutual. Washington Mutual was one of the banking giants back in 2008. Would that be correct, Cliff?
I see what he's saying. It depends what perspective he's coming from,
Sure.
but from a price reduction from the high, I think
Mhm.
he's right. I think from the
Mm,
prices we saw last year, I mean, we got to take a historical context on this a little bit. We're gonna go into it, but if you go look back 100 years, the average interest rate's like 8, 9.
yes.
So we've been in ever since two. So you got to remember before 2008. So let's go to 2006. What was the interest rates? 6, 7%.
That's right.
Then the financial crisis came. They wanted to get people back, so they dropped interest rates to try to spur spending.
Yes.
They haven't been able to get out of that for 14 years.
That's correct.
So I like you said, it's gotten out of control. And I
Out of
think
control.
there would you like you saying them raising them interest rates to maybe even 4 from where we are now, they may try to raise interest rates to a point of 12%
Yes.
to try to reduce it. And that's going to bring housing prices down 50%.
Wasn't I saying 30 to 50%?
Yeah, you was right. You was spot on. I got to agree with you. I mean, the
But
way it's looking, that's possible.
but the thing about it is, let's go back to where this kind of the history behind this thing, where there was an economic situation where it kind of mirrored this. This was back in the Carter years.
Right.
Fed Chairman Volcker, it went up to 18%. The par rate, 18%. And that time is totally different than this time. Because in the last 24 to 36 months, we've printed 40% of this nation's entire currency in the last
Yeah.
36 months.
Yeah.
40%. Understand that. So that's more printing than when during the Carter years, easily.
Oh yeah.
That's why I'm saying that's why I kind of shake hands with what he's saying, because he's saying this is a bank CEO is saying, former bank CEO is saying this is totally different in '08. Totally different. And it is.
Well,
It really is.
the only thing I would say is kind of fighting that is, so how much now? Okay, there's a couple things. Let me separate them. The first is how they measured inflation back then is different than
Mhm.
how we measure it today.
It is.
They they changed how they measure it.
It
So
is.
I think if you took today's numbers and
Mhm.
you measure them the same way they did back during Volcker, we're actually at like 12, 14%.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We just manipulated the numbers to go, well, no, we're really
Actually,
at 8.
Tim Sale, he's a business guru on the direct
Mhm.
sales side. He does several millions of dollars a year. He actually went through an exercise of where the actual interest rate is. He put everything that they took out back into the formula. You know what number he came up to now?
What's
He
that?
said the rate is 17%.
That's not crazy. I can see how you can get there.
They've had to massage the numbers to control the shock value of the inflationary rate. That's not good at all.
Yeah. So it's 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 crazy at this point. So we've got that component to it. like you said. So they may be raising interest rates, but at some point in the future, they're going to have to come down.
They are.
So they're going
They
because
are.
they know they can't sustain at that level. But what they said is they're going to try to raise it up, and then once they prove inflation hits the mark for probably that quarter,
Yeah.
then they're going to start reducing it back down little bit by little bit and measuring that. So I'm thinking it's going to take place over 24 months. That we're going to probably have a ramp up and stall.
Yeah. It's so you saying that you're going to begin seeing this kind of change in 24 months, or you saying the duration area of the stall is going to be for 24 months?
I, I'm thinking the ramp up and the stall. I think we're going to probably keep raising interest rates for probably another 2 quarters, maybe 3. Then at that point in time, they're going to stall and see where we're at, and they may give that a quarter or 2 to see, because you can't just keep raising without stopping at some point and saying what you're doing. You got to measure the results of what you're doing.
So if the par right now is 7, and they raise it to, let's say, in that time frame, 2, maybe 3. I say 4. You're saying 2. I'm being a little bit more aggressive. You're being a little bit more conservative, and that makes sense. Let's meet in the middle at 3. So we're looking at our interest rate of par of 10%.
That's about right. That makes sense.
That's for you to get a 30-year mortgage, fixed rate, 10% interest rate. That's not out of the norm. Look at what's
That's
going on.
right in line.
Right in line with history. So we're not this ain't theory. We ain't made this putting this out of our ass. We're actually looking at and examining what's going on. We're boots on the ground. We're in this thing as well. Now, you may say, Liddell, you and Cliff don't seem very worried. You'll see why here in a second, why we're not that very worried. Investors we are pretty excited about what's coming because more opportunities are going to come. We're seeing them now. We are seeing them now, if that makes some sense. So, Cliff, let's dive into it, man. Today, guys, we're going to talk about where to begin investing in real estate. You may say that's a kind of a broad question. We know it's a broad question. We're talking about locations as well as what else should we talk about, Cliff? We got location. We should talking about what else?
Uh, Type of rehab.
Yes.
So yeah,
So
definitely the type of rehab.
so let's answer these questions in with different strategies. So from a wholesale strategy, what if you want to wholesale a property? Let's look at geography, location. How far would you advise a novice investor, maybe even a seasoned investor in this type of economy? How far away they should be wholesaling properties at?
If I from beginners, if I'm a beginner, if I'm starting out again, I would say the mistake. We're in a big city, DFW, right? Dallas
Yes,
Fort
bro.
Worth.
Yeah.
If I could have, the thing I would change early on, I wish I went to a smaller towns outside of Dallas
Mm,
to wholesale. There's
yeah.
less competition.
Yep.
It's easier to get deep discounts. Everything is slower. And as
Sure
you're a
is.
beginner, you want that slow pace because you don't have to make those quick because you're new.
Yeah. 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 I would say I would kind of mimic that as well because if you're new, you want to master what's around you initially. But as far as fine tune your skills in an immediate area, I agree with Cliff when it comes to go to the less competitive areas and take those disciplines that you learned in the local area and begin to apply them in those smaller areas. And you tweak them here and there because you got to tweak your strategy on the location that it's at. That's what I would do. Most wholesalers, man, they be pulling comparables 8 miles away. You know, I'm talking about whether it be sold or rental comparables. Scope of works be about $50,000 under what really needs to be done to the property. If you're a wholesaler, you're going to need to fine tune your skills in presenting accurate information because a seasoned investor like Cliff and I, we're going to find out if you're full of BS or not. If you're buying a wholesale, you better know how to verify those rental comms, those sold comes and the scope of work pro forma. The key word there is pro forma that they're actually presenting to you. Would you agree, Cliff?
Oh yeah, like so. Pro forma. Another name for pro forma is trash, right? It, they
You're right.
they they ain't worth nothing.
Nothing.
The- you know, anybody could do a pro forma. You're gonna be rich. That's what
Yes.
that's what it's
Yes.
gonna say. Or like anytime a wholesaler gives you what they think the ARV or the rehab costs are, it's trash. It ain't
Got
worth
it.
nothing. Don't
Makes
you
no
have to
difference.
do your own evaluation,
Please do it.
and that's how you decide. Don't trust them 1%. I mean, you can kind of get an idea from them, but you're not
Sure.
really making a decision from that. They may just be a baseline, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
But yeah, you don't. Real investors don't take wholesale numbers,
Heck
and the only
no.
reason why they would is if they've been working with that wholesaler for a long time.
There you go. You guys have a rapport. He knows what you're
Right.
looking for, and that's normal. That type of contact is normal. But man, if you don't know this wholesaler, man, what they sending over to you, man, you better verify them facts. You better. You're gonna be looking like holding the bag, looking stupid. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Right.
Okay, from a flipping scenario, now you are the buyer. You're buying a property and you wanting to flip the property. What type of disciplines when it comes to location, Cliff, should they and strategy when it comes to that area? What skills should they actually bring to the table when it comes to investing in real estate?
So from a flipping perspective, probably don't go too big too early. You still want to stay small
Mhm.
when you're a beginner. You want to stay
Yeah.
small, right? You want low cost properties because you're going to make mistakes, and we want those mistakes to be small,
Yes.
right? Um, so you're looking for the easiest rehab you can with uh with low price points, right? So you're looking
Yes.
for a paint, carpet, maybe an
Mhm.
HVAC system,
Yeah.
something along those lines. Probably a rehab under
Hmm.
25.
Hmm.
Something that
Hmm.
you can manage pretty basic. That's what I would say. I would start
Hmm.
with the cheaper properties in your area
Hmm.
that you can do a rehab under 25K.
He's right. The bigger the rehab, guys, the more complex it gets. The more subs you need, the more you lean more on your general contractor. So yes, begin small, and I would say welcome in someone that can kind of mentor you in this as well to kind of walk through those things because those smaller rehabs, the 20 25K rehab for a beginner, that's a significant rehab. You're doing some
Yeah.
rehab, you really are. And once you fine tune how to locate and calculate the cost of goods or COGS, okay, how to understand if you're being overcharged for labor as well. I mean, Cliff has saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars just being able to say, okay, how much you charge me for labor? Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so you say you want to do X, Y, Z. It's going to take you how long to get it done? 5 days to do that? To paint these stairs? That don't make no damn sense. You get it done in 3 days. How many people you gonna put on there? So Cliff begins asking these questions, and now they'll quickly see, okay, this is a seasoned guy. So you want to
Right.
make
Yep.
sure you understand those different skills as well, so that and you can really perfect this by really walking with somebody through their rehab. Okay, it may not be yours. It could be a mentor's rehab. Say, hey man, can I walk along with you? How'd you come up with this? That run some errands for them. Be willing to work for free so that you can actually learn from someone that may know more than you do. Now, some folks may say, Cliff, man, I don't want to work for free. Stay broke. Stay broke.
It-
Stay broke. No one's
the-
gonna want to pay you to work with them.
yeah, that's definitely, yeah, that's kind of a poor mentality because you think you're not getting paid, but you are. You're getting paid in experience.
Yes.
And experience is huge because once you know what you're doing, you're going to see opportunities you didn't see before.
Yes.
You walk
Yes.
by them every day, you didn't notice them because you didn't have
Yeah.
the right vision. You didn't. I would say it's something like when you buying a new car, you buying a new, let's say a Jeep Grand Cherokee or something. You're like, hey, I'm getting me a new Jeep. All of a sudden, you see Jeeps everywhere. It's the
Yeah.
same thing when you start getting into real estate. You don't know what a deal looks like. Once you start recognizing deal after deal, now you start seeing them everywhere. You're like, okay, there goes a deal. That's not a deal because you need to have the right vision of understanding what
Yeah.
you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let's flip it. Now you are a buyer of a flipping property. What disciplines as far as location and skills should you bring to the table?
From as a buyer,
Yeah.
you still want like at the end of the day, if you're flipping, what you're really looking at is days on market is probably your strongest component. You because at the end that's going to be your saving grace to be able to sell it quick. If you're new and you're starting out, I would even say more than equity is speed,
Yes.
right? Because you're starting out,
Yes.
you may not get the biggest equity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That comes with experience and time.
It
But
does.
the days on market, if it can sell, if you can make a 10, 15K little flip and it sells in 20 days,
Yeah.
that's a win to you.
Win. That's a big old win. And guys, um, I never buy retail, even when I'm actually buying a flip. I
Mm,
never do because it doesn't give me any security. Let's say, for instance, you buy a flip at retail and your DOM days on market is a longer period of time. You stuck like Chuck.
right.
You stuck because you have debt most likely attached to that, and you're having to pay that debt service cost until it's liquidated. Now, if you buy it below retail, you have some negotiating whim that you can actually do when it comes to the eventual end buyer, so to speak. Would you agree with that, Cliff?
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this if you can get off market, that's the best way.
Oh my God, it is, man. Now, from a holding standpoint, guys, holding standpoint, I love this part because I love cash flow. And so, from a geographic standpoint, it's the same thing when it comes to a wholesale flipping. You want to be in those areas to where it's the least competition. Fine tune your skills locally, and then graduate out to those smaller tiered. I call them mid tier towns. Okay, and I like to buy below wholesale because I don't think it's wise to pass on those costs to your end buyer or your tenants, because this is a whole scenario, or your tenants, because then you begin to kind of curtail the type of tenant or buyer that you can actually locate. So I think it's wise to negotiate below wholesale. If that makes sense. Would you agree, Cliff?
Oh yeah. If you always want to try to go for the lowest price in every situation, you want to try at least negotiate and see what you can do. Uh, with holds, it's it's much easier. So you have different type of hold strategies.
Yeah,
For me, I put it in two different categories. I put
yeah,
one in cash flow category where,
yeah,
and I was actually dealing with this today. I was talking with a wholesaler who was trying to give me one where the properties doesn't have a lot of equity. So I typically like to have a decent amount of equity, but the cash
yeah.
flow is so heavy that it's crazy. I'm talking about getting 2%
Mm,
on the cash flow
mm.
side, but you're talking about 10% equity.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a trade off. But on the other
Yes, it
end,
is.
I've also seen some properties where met an investor who he had a couple of properties, very low cash flow. I'm talking about he barely is basically breaking even,
Mhm.
but he's got they are in the greatest locations.
Yep. Yes,
So
sir.
he knows he can sell them quick and it still appreciates because it's like, for
Yeah.
example, he's got a condo in Highland Park.
Yeah.
That's always going to be, everybody wants to live in Highland Park.
He's
So
he's sitting
when
good.
prices get cheap, he buys Highland Park. He breaks even on the cash flow, but you
Mhm, mhm,
hold 5 to 7 years, you can make 60,
mhm.
80K easy on the property he's getting into. And he just buys those. So the holding strategy is different. For me, I like to
Yep.
limit those ones with high equity but low cash flow. So probably a
Yep.
75, right? Probably 80/20, 80% cash flow, 20% on the equity side.
Yeah, 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 yeah. These are jewels, guys, when it comes to structuring your deals and negotiating. And also on this whole standpoint, and this will be going to in the course, is the strategy that's going to be the most popular when it comes to holding is subject to investing. I was on the phone line with a loan servicer today, guys, and there are so many people that are falling behind on their payments. We're talking about 20 plus payments behind. It's smelling
Yeah.
a lot like 2008.
Yeah.
It
I'm seeing
sure
that too.
is. Man, I'm trying to told y'all, man. Um, but but it's all good, man. It's all good. Now, Cliff, man, let's graduate, man, over to the course, man.
Yeah.
Guys, man, this has been a fun course putting together. The manuals, the videos. Me and Cliff went through last week on how it's going. I did the subject to investing portion. We have a beginner, intermediate, advanced. Cliff, what was the title of yours, man? What was yours?
How to flip property in under 90 days.
Yeah, man. And he goes in there. He goes in from a beginner standpoint. Okay. So that you understand the disciplines. But he says it's a beginner, but a lot of seasoned investors are going to want to hear what he has to say about this because this gentleman, as well as I, flip properties remotely. Like we at the crib. We don't visit the house. And we still buy the property and make a whole bunch of money doing that. He goes to those strategies. That makes some sense. And then Jason Hanna does one called How to Build Your Power Team. He goes through what a power team is and also each role of each team member that's on your power team, what you should understand what their roles are, and also some misnomers about what their roles, what they, I'm coming back, what their roles should be communicated as. So that, guys, is about ready to roll out. We're about to begin to record the marketing videos talking about you're going to see Cliff on there. You're going to see me on there. You're going to see Jason on there. You may see your wives on there as well, man. We may surprise y'all with our kids. Well, my kids. His little daughter's a little bit too small. She may come in and scream a little bit just because she can, because it's her world.
Oh
We
yeah.
just live in it.
Oh yeah. She gonna scream. It's ain't no doubt. She gonna start yelling.
Yeah, see, that's her saying, "Holla at your partner." That's all that is. That's all it is. That's all it is, y'all. But man, Cliff, that's all I really had, guys. I would say, Cliff, I would say probably the course, guys, will be live and live in color in about 14 days. Finish up the touches on the website, the funnel as well, also the manual as well, also. We didn't want to put out a janky led one. We want to put one out there that was really good and substantive that you can actually take it and run with it, kind of like a blueprint of what you want to do. And also, we set up a VIP community as well, to where on a monthly basis you can get on a call with Cliff, and Jason to walk through your deal, and also Cliff, will we even fund the deals too?
Oh yeah. 100% fund that deal.
We'll fund the deal too as well. We teach you how to structure it, how to negotiate it, and we'll fund it. And maybe even partner with you on that thing as well. You'll get Cliff's intellect when it comes to how to put together a scope of work, which would be great. Also, what he believes the as is and the ARV value is on these properties. That portion is vital because that really determines how you should negotiate. That thing is vital, guys. So, man, guys, that's all I had, Cliff. Man, you want to add anything, man, before we go, big dog?
Nah, just like I said, we walking you through the basics of how you get into it. And I always say, depending on what you're looking for, we got you. If you're looking to try to do 10 deals or one deal, the strategies are the same. They're just scaled a little different. That's it.
That's it.
That's
That's
it.
it,
So
guys.
learn the basics, learn the building blocks, and we're gonna teach you through and walk you through all that.
Yes, sir. Let's get it. Well, guys, thank you for your time. Appreciate you. Hope we added some value to today. And before you leave, and while you can, take that picture for your mama and them. Now holla at your partners. Cliff. All right, y'all. Peace. You, real estate investor. Hey, let me ask you a quick question. How much money could you make if you had access to an unlimited amount of capital to acquire your real estate with no credit check, strictly asset-based financing, and quick closings? My name is Liddell Buggs, president of 316 Cap. We are a residential and commercial real estate finance company. Click on the link below or swipe up to have someone from our staff contact you to assist you in closing your next real estate transaction.